like we promised that we're going to be having Isaiah Katumwa in the studio, and we said he will be here. Of course, he's in the country. He arrived yesterday. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, it's a little bit informal introduction, I understand, because we've been running a little bit up and down to make sure that you're here and that you're live on 94.8 XFM. My name is Darren, and then she's Bridget.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice meeting you too. Finally, it's the first time I'm actually, second time I'm seeing you physically.
Oh, which one was the first time?
The first time was one of these just safari things back. But that was at a distance. Right. Does that count?
Well, yeah, I've shared a million hits.
I think it does.
Oh, really?
Yes. And there is you.
And you were jazzing. Tell me about that.
Just in the background, having a good time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Isaiah Katumwa is going to be celebrating 30 years. Do they say blowing the sax? Is that what they call it?
Well, professionally on stage.
They call it blowing. Playing the sax.
Well, you blow to play it.
You blow to play.
But you say you say playing the saxophone. You don't say blowing.
We don't say, because I wanted, the guitar has the way they call it, plucking the strings or what.
Right.
So I wanted to understand what is that. The noun you use.
It's more like not saying okusuna guitar. If you don't know.
But then you get the Uganda
Way. You say playing.
30 years. 30 years ago, you picked up a sax, and that identified you as Isaiah Katumwa, the saxophonist.
Right.
You got that title. But I'm coming from a point of why didn't you choose a guitar? You could have chosen drums, you could have chosen a piano, you could have chosen a flute. Why a sax?
And first of all, 30 years ago is not when I started playing. 30 years ago is when I actually started playing professionally. Yeah.
So let's go back to the amateur side, the beginner side.
So I started the saxophone when I was a very little kid, and I give most of the credit to start up to my guardian who I was living with, who was like a father figure to me, who saw my gift, and he introduced me to the guitar, introduced me to different instruments. Even the piano, a little bit of it, because I could sing. I could do a lot of singing and dancing as a small boy. And as I was getting into teenage, he got me a saxophone. Of course, it was a broken saxophone. We all didn't know, but
it was a broken one.
Yeah, but
so you were playing the wrong things. But anyway,
but yeah. So it could work. It could do something in there. But again, it's an instrument I'd never seen before in my life. But as a little kid, I wanted to have a challenge. I wanted to prove something. I wanted to. So when I saw the saxophone, it was complicated. It had all these buttons. I was like, man, I think this is a good challenge. And I picked it up, and he first asked me, before I buy this thing, are you going to actually put in the hard work? I said, I promise I'll put in the hard work. But I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But yeah, so it was a good beginning. I had to lock myself. He used to lock me into the room and say, I want to hear the saxophone playing. I don't know what you're playing, but I want to hear the saxophone playing. And so I had to play and try to figure. So year after year, I learned one note and adding another note and adding another note and playing melodies that made sense with the notes that were available at that point.
1995.
No, so 1995, I was already a pro.
Oh, wow.
So we're going back to 1990. Okay. I'm trying to reduce by 5 years.
Yeah. So no, even
before.
So you have to know, I started as a little kid. I really started as a little kid, and I struggled to kind of to have the exact years. But one thing you have to know, but in 1993, I was looking for work as a saxophonist, even though I was in school. Because you see, it is music that took me through school. I had to teach. I used to teach trumpet, bugles, trombone. I used to teach a couple of things, and also the saxophone a little bit. But in 1995, that's when I started playing with a professional band, Waka Waka band, and that was at Sheraton. So started gigging. I also got my first gig. Which very coincidentally, one of the chairman of the sponsors partnering and supporting New Vision in this was the guy who hired me for that gig. Jimmy Mugero, I give him credit because he's been very supportive all through. But so 30 years, just to be sure, because someone else asked me, so are you really trying to scale the 30 years? It's not really 30 years, but you're trying to stretch it.
Yeah, it looks like it's a stretch. It looks like 45 or something.
So you know, there are people. For example, there's a gentleman who now speaks a lot in the industry, Eddie Sandy, who employed me in Emito's band in 1993. To play
This Sandy?
Yes. Oh. He was the manager of Umaru Katumwa at that time.
What?
Umaru Katumwa and the Emitos were a big thing. Yeah. In fact, he died in an accident, tragically.
Sad.
But he was one of the top people, you know, the way you see the Chameleons or the Baby Cools. And I joined that band, you know, a little bit, because I was young. And I was trying to figure it out. So that's 1993, but I was still in school again. So I didn't stay so long. But again, the reason I count 1995 is because I decided, now this is something that I have to put my time into, and I have to make it count.
That's quite interesting. You made, and I don't know if you know this,
right,
but you, if you didn't know, maybe if you've had, maybe I'll stamp, let me make my stamp on it. You made jazz a very popular thing in Uganda. It's not that we didn't know it,
right,
but we didn't have identified artists in the genre as it is. Of course, we knew the Careless Whispers, the George Michaels, and Kenny G's and all this.
Yeah.
But someone to come out and say the way the Chameleon came out and then he started this whole Chidandali Ugandan music, the Bebekos, they usually say those are the pioneers in that. But do you understand that you actually pioneered jazz music as a genre in Uganda by Ugandan artists? And how does that make you feel? If you didn't know, now I tell you, and how does that make you feel?
Well, it humbles me. First of all, when I started the journey, I had this determination to contribute to my generation. I don't know, as a little kid, there was this ambition to count. I want my name to count one day that I existed. And that kept me going because when I listened to Kenny G when I was a kid, I was wondering why is everything sophisticated made by these Americans or Chinese or you know, and I thought, because as a Christian I became a Christian when I was a very little kid, and I had many questions about how unfair God can be, you know. And one of the things that I came to terms with is that God is no respecter of people. The creator of the American and the Chinese is the creator of the Ugandan. So for me, as a kid, I always thought, I don't think that I have to limit myself. I dreamt always that I have to really contribute to the globe, to the world. And therefore, because talent is given by God, I challenged myself always to say, how am I going to contribute to the world as a Ugandan? So when I had jazz, I always perceived it as a language. And the question was, we also speak Luganda.
We do.
They speak English, or they make us speak English as well. But when will a Ugandan also be heard out there doing it the Ugandan way? Because these people don't come here to promote themselves. We are the ones who are buying the music. But how much of our music do they play on their radios? So that's all conversations that I've had as a kid growing up and wondering, there has to be a way we can also package what we have in either the language they'll understand and buy what we have, or we'll tell our stories using the language they understand, which is music. Now, of course, there have been limitations and those are the hardships that you go through. Limitations of, we don't have schools, we don't have instruments, we don't have teachers, how are we going to do this? And that's, for me, that's where God is so powerful in my story. Because the limitations were shattered, were not there, because I only looked at it from God's perspective. You know, where I needed prayer, I had prayer, and I took the impossibilities. In fact, for me, I grew up with this statement always guiding me that I refuse circumstances to dictate my future.
What? Say that again.
That has always been my anchor. I refuse circumstances to dictate my future. Because circumstances can be valid excuses. Valid. If I tell you the excuse, you'll say, you're right not to proceed. But that's not. You're giving it power.
Over you.
Exactly. So for me, my journey has been details like not allowing even simple transport stopping me from going where I have to go. You understand?
Yeah.
So for me, the validity of my celebration for 30 years is in the context of the journey I have walked. And again, I always say, it's not exactly because of where I am. It is how far I have come. You know, you have to stop and say, listen, I started this alone, with all rejection of people. And I can tell you, I even brought music on radio stations, and they rejected the music.
Exactly. Because I was going to ask you about that as well. I said, you're doing music that we barely had on radio.
Right.
And in fact, the first time I had a jazz song, I don't know if to call that Careless Whispers of George Michael a jazz song, but there's a jazz feel to it that we just listened to and moved on with it. But again, after some time, I was listening to versions of Ugandan songs that you could have played some of them.
Right.
And I'm thinking, it's actually good music, or you go to weddings and then the music is actually played there.
Right.
And I'm thinking, at what point do you, the first time you had your song on radio, did you ever want to ask what made you guys play a jazz song?
When I came back and I was doing a performance, some kind of performance, I think, around my album, Baby Cool came and said, you know, I've grown up listening to you and admiring you. And I'm thinking, that's interesting. But yet, in 1997, we were very close friends with Chameleon. And he used to come at where I was playing. I was playing by Parkview Complex. Okay. Near the park.
Yeah.
And he used to join me, of course, with Shanks. He was working with Shanks, and yes. So I used to, again, these stories are very interesting. But I used to go to school. I was finishing my A level, and I was doing sciences, and I was the head boy.
Oh, okay.
But
the tough guy in the school.
But you know, and now, but at the same time, I was working from Monday to Monday, from 5 or 6 o'clock to 2 a.m.
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
That
after
like
school.
You were working in a bar.
It was a bar.
Oh,
it was a bar. Well, they have food in bars, right? So I don't know whether it was a bar and restaurant, but it is a. No. Because I looked for work, you know, and I used to take care of my mom, and you know, but. So I used to foot, because in those 90s we didn't have borders.
No.
So, but I used to foot, but Chameleon would come.
Not even the guys who ride. You know, there are two types of borders. The first era was the bicycle.
Yes. So the bicycle at that time that we finished was there. But Rwanda especially. Okay. But they were not working at night.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So we used to foot. Chameleon used to come join me, and then we foot through YSA, and I was going to Kagoma. Yeah, and of course we passed by YSA. He stops by Kawepe Mbogo. I think he lived there, and then we continued. But you see, when you go through all the emotions and memories of such moments, you kind of figure, listen, how beautiful a story Chameleon has developed, and how successful Baby Cool has become. But in a different dimension, I've also acquired a part of my journey to where I am. And you're like, it's emotional, you know?
It's okay, because the story is one of the most important things. I saw you getting emotional yesterday. You're getting emotional today. The difference is maybe I'm not seeing your tears today.
You don't know. I'm fighting better. I felt so terrible about yesterday.
It's fine. And as a person, I play guitar as well.
Nice.
A little bit of the keyboard.
Nice.
But I'm a failed artist. I usually tell these people,
come
I'm a failed artist. So, but I believe that you have a deep connection. Anybody who plays instruments has a deep connection, especially when it comes to the jazz genre you're playing from, where you're coming from, where this melody is coming from
right.
deep inside. Probably you were sleeping and you were thinking of a key, A minor or a D, and it has something that is connecting to you in terms of how you're feeling at that moment.
Right.
Us, we are just dancing to a song. We don't know the lyrics. We even don't know where you're coming. You see, that's the thing with jazz.
Yeah.
People may just say, this song is called My Joy.
Right.
That's it. It's an instrumental called My Joy. And they just vibe to eating lunch at weddings and everything.
Yes.
But you have a deep place where some of these melodies come from. And I want to understand what inspires a certain melody, a certain key. Because it's easier for an instrumentist to walk into the studio and play a jazz piece.
Yes.
And the producer makes it, compared to a vocalist who's going to sing, and the producer is trying to figure out where they don't even care. In fact, producers who are hosted here usually say, "A guy has a vibe." Now vibe.
Right.
Which may be very different in the genre you're in.
Yeah.
Where does this come from when you're doing your songs? Even the naming of them, My Joy, those other titles that you give them. Where does it come from?
I think for me, I don't know, because different musicians approach things differently. For me, I write songs very differently. Each song is different. I don't have a formula of writing, because remember, I don't only write jazzy songs or instrumentals. I also write lyrical songs.
The actual lyrical songs?
Yes.
I'm waiting.
You know some of them, but you don't know that it's me who wrote them. Trust me.
30th, I mean 20th, will tell me.
So, but for me, I like to because I approach music as a language. If I don't know the language someone is speaking, I can tell someone is angry. I can tell someone is happy. I can tell someone is confused, or someone. You can still tell even though you don't know the language. For me, musically speaking, and that's why it's a beautiful language. I express myself in a way that allows you to also have room to interpret. But the name of the song and how I deliver it, even the kind of coding or the chords, the harmonies I use, gives you that framework. For example, happy chords are going to be different from the dark chords.
Yes.
And that's the same as melody. The way I play a happy melody may be a different way, because how I approach my worship, because I play a lot of worship music as well. But also, I also know that as a Ugandan, when you're expressing our music, for us, we are happy people, as in we have seen it, But when I do, for example, My Joy, that's what I'm trying to lay out from my heart. I'm thinking about, especially for that one, I was thinking about two different things, and it was all love. My spouse being my joy, or my family, and then God being my joy, because the joy of the Lord is my strength. So when I'm having fun and a good time, it is in the center of joy, and yet joy can be interpreted for you and for the other person differently, because there are things that give them joy. Like, it could be children, could be the moment, it could be the vibe they feel at that point, or it could be anything. And different songs that way also have room to be interpreted in ways that they come across. But there are also times when I struggle trying to figure. I have this song, for example, I've just completed in studio with one of the top producers in the US, and we've been working on it together. And he kept asking me, Isaiah, what's the title of this song? And I'm telling him that, listen, I'm still praying about this song. because
so you have the song, but you don't have a title yet.
Yeah, because again, like I said, I write songs differently.
Yeah.
This particular song, I was thinking so much on the commercial side.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to go on international radio, because again the formats are different. Radio formats can be different from my expression. If I play This Is Me, for example, which is Back Simba, I've already written, I know the title before I even write it. You know what I'm saying? I know the title. I know that I'm going to express myself. I'm a Uganda. I need to get some Uganda in there. I'm a Christian. I need to have that authenticity in there. I know that the instruments move this way. This is the time signature that expresses our culture in Uganda. Yeah. This is the tonalities. These are the certain things that I have predetermined. So different songs come with different formats and ways that I name songs. So, but again, it's about expressing myself, what I'm feeling at that moment in the context of that song.
A few years ago, you decided to relocate. How did you come with that choice, and did you even think about the future of your music? Because making a decision is that you're leaving your audience behind. And you're moving to another territory. Were you trying to explore that maybe let me take my talent somewhere else? Were you saying that after that, now it would have been about 25 years, no, probably lower? I think you left in 2017 or 18?
Oh, 2019.
2019.
Yes.
So when you were leaving, were you saying 6 years, maybe, let me take them somewhere else and explore a different market? Or were you saying, it's my retirement plan, let me go and chill and just go and have it for now fun rather than commercial? Because now Uganda, you had put it somewhere. Without you, we couldn't have known people like the Jose Sachs, I think it's called Jose Sachs, people like the Happy and his brother. After you is when they came. And did you now feel like the market is saturated, or maybe I'm old, maybe I'm tired after 1993 to now, let me just go and experience a different world? Or you were trying to say, let me take the music to the world? I want to understand your objective of leaving.
So for me, I've been intentional.
I like that.
I've been intentional from when I was a kid. And this is a conversation I've had with my son, and I get very emotional. I told him that I knew where you wanted to be at 20. I knew, but I had to walk backwards and pray and believe God that will
happen.
So, but also for my journey, I knew and believed that I'll get somewhere. So for me, journeys, or a journey of progress, means expansion. It means movement. And I always gave, when I made my motivation speeches to young people, I always told them that, you can be a big star in Chireka, but when you go outside of Chireka, you will find some people that are bigger than you, better than you. So when you assume you are successful in Chireka, be careful to be humble when you go out of there. But if you want to be big in Kampala, if Chireka happens to be in Kampala, if you want to be big, first learn who is in Kampala before you assume any success, because exposure helps us understand where we fall. But again, even the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing, there are many playing parts. I always feel, why do I do what I do? Because God could have given it to anyone. He has given me my story, my journey. He has given me this gift. It has to count to the community, to my community, to my family. It has to be bigger than me. But in order to be effective and be of value, there has to be a measure of success. People listen to people who have something to say. And my hard work was like, I need to get to a certain degree of maybe success, so that then I can influence and inspire other people. So progress means growing.
True.
And growing means expansion. So for me, when I look at other people play, I always say it, and I know one day people will see me, hear my story, and will believe that this is possible. And they will pick up from there. I've said it again and again, and I said it yesterday. For me, I count legacy not about me standing alone. It's about lifting others as I arise. You know, so as I move up there, I'm hoping that other people are seeing what's possible. You know, so going to the States was not something that this just happened. I was supposed to have gone maybe 2013. I postponed it because I was doing a mentorship program that I sacrificed and said I have to take care of. But there are many things. One, my son had come to an age where he needed to go exposure. He's gifted. I always tell people that I believe he's even more gifted than I am.
He plays the sax as well?
He plays all the instruments, but he's more of a producer, songwriter, and piano. But he's right now signed to a record label, major record label.
Interesting.
Now, but he's still in college. He's still in university. So my movement is not just about me expanding as a person, but also as a family, because I'm a father first, you know. There are many, like I said, many moving parts. But for me to go to the States was another intentional position of saying, we have to find a way to contribute to the global sound. And the globe is not going to come here. We have to go to it. And I may just begin the journey, other people may pick up from where I stop, but someone has to start. Someone has to make connections. Someone has to get exposure. Because when we are locked here, many times we are locked here and we think we're doing well. You know? And the first time I took a plane to go to the UK, I saw what I had and I said, I'm going to the UK. All I want is exposure. I want to understand, why do I play my saxophone and I don't like it when I hear it on record? And yet, when I play it live, I enjoy it. It's because we didn't have sound engineers that would actually do that. So I went and studied sound engineering, but I also realized that, hey, I can't be a sound engineer and a saxophonist at the same time. But of course, thank God, technology has developed and people in the industry have also grown into real professional stuff that I enjoy what I'm hearing. My movement to the States is not really relocating, because this is always going to be home. When I go there, I tell the Ugandan story. I'm not trying to become an American. I'm telling my Ugandan story, and I've told everybody, even when I do my jazz there, I'm making sure that I'm not being converted into an American jazz artist, because I will never be. Things that have motivated and inspired me was why can't I play the saxophone as a Ugandan? Why do I have to play it as an American? Because they're already Americans. They're already playing. What story am I going to tell that is Ugandan?
Interesting.
So sometimes if the world doesn't come to you, you go to it. And you tell your story. And this is just an example. But so you know, most of these countries have gone out there and represented themselves. We Ugandans are not that kind of personality.
And thanks to you who went, thanks to Joshua Baraka. Usually,
many guys are doing a good
I
job
tell
now.
the sports guys, we are always mentioning of a Ugandan who has another nationality. You know, these things say Ugandan-born American playing football. No, it's not a Ugandan. Let him be there. We want the one who is coming from here saying, this is my flag. This is Uganda. I'm an adult of grown up in Uganda. And I appreciate that more than someone who has Ugandan parents and born in Germany and is playing football.
Right.
They don't understand.
Now you're touching the thing that really makes me emotional. I think it was, I hosted Mira Makeba.
Makeba.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In 2008 here. It was a Kampala Jazz Festival, but it was the only one we had.
Yeah.
And two ladies, very high profile ladies that I may not even say here, were in a VIP and they were arguing. So I was passing because immediately after stage I was flying out for another performance of that same night.
What?
So I was rushing, but then they said, please. And they asked me, Wama, we're arguing here.
Tell me what the subject.
And I said, okay. I said, she thinks you were born here. I'm explaining to her, you were born in the UK, you only came. And I said, listen, I've walked all the corners of Kawempe, of Bwaise. I know all the shortcuts of Rubia, Masanafu, where in Naguru. I am Uganda born. Not just Ugandan born. I have also been in some villages in Ibuleva where I wake up in the morning and Tulia Muogo Chimu. We don't have soap, we use leaves.
What? Oh yes,
you know,
I've heard of that.
Where in the war we forgot about the taste of sugar, we forgot about the taste of, you know, I have lived a Ugandan life in all different dynamics of it, you know. So for me, the story of 30 years has all those curves and turns making sense. And so therefore, when I stand to talk about Uganda, I know what I'm talking about. When I say I've done some serious programs with Isaiah Katumwa Beyond Music program, I have gone to places in Masaka, down in Masaka, where I see impossible stuff. You know, where someone to be able to get water, they have to use a plate to throw away frogs, and they're in a queue line. I'm talking about real life issues in the Ugandan context. So when you see someone on stage playing saxophone and being sophisticated, he's actually a real Ugandan. And to your point, it's different from being a Ugandan born. I mean, the US born and Ugandan and all that. That's not in. So for me, when I talk about representing Uganda, my heart is at the core of being Ugandan, and how can I contribute to my community? How can I be? And as a Christian, for me, that's what I call ministry. Because it is in action of touching lives with what I have. So when I have an opportunity to actually influence young people, like you've referred to the young people that have come, and I may have gone fast, but it doesn't mean that I'm more talented than they are. So they are gifted, and they need the spotlight. They need someone to just give them direction or tell them that, hey, there was no road here. And I used the panga to pave this, and this is how I passed, and this is how I did it. So that wherever I may stop, they can be able to also do their parts. And that's how we change the world, I believe.
How did you feel about your first performance? If you sit right there and think about your first performance and say, this was my first professional performance. If you were to critique that person today, what do you think they did wrong? And you're thinking, if I saw another guy go to the stage and they're doing it, I'll identify it and I'm going to correct them instantly. But number two also is, why 30 years? Why not a decade? Why not a century? Why didn't you wait for a jubilee? And you chose 30.
The one I could say that I did my show. You see, the first performances I was in a band. Or I played backing tracks, and it's not memorable.
I want the one used to where the guy.
The one that is so memorable is as recent as 2006 or 2007. And I decided. She's smiling because I'm saying recent. No, I decided that I'm going to pour my heart out. And I'm giving what I have. I'm not going to play a scale I don't know. I'm not going to do anything, you know. So I poured myself out on that stage, and all the mistakes I don't want to know. And it takes maturity to accept that that's what I could afford at that time. So I have a principle. Every time I go on stage, I pour myself out because I'm not guaranteed of the next time I'll do it. The second question.
Why 30 years? Why not a decade? Why not?
So remember, I celebrated 20 years 10 years ago when Huma Sekela came. and it was progress. It was remember, I've done what you're doing on Jazz FM while I was promoting jazz and trying to educate people about it. I've done jazz with Isaiah on Urban here and other stations. All that was to inspire and educate people about jazz. Now, many years down the road, when I see, yesterday I was playing with Jose, and I was looking at how beautiful he sounds and how all these young players now play, and people are hiring them and they are earning a lot of money from what never existed. Trust me, it is something worth celebrating. So 30 comes at a time where there's a lot to celebrate, and bringing everyone together and saying, listen, we have to celebrate this as our own thing. It is time for jazz to shine, because people now understand what it's about. And of course we're still in a journey and we're still learning, we're still progressing, but it's always good to stop and say, thank you, Lord. For me, it's more like saying, thank you, Lord, for how far you've brought me. And thank you for the fruits that I can be able to see. And I pray that now you take me to the next level, understanding that you've done this, you'll do the other.
She's very emotional since you started speaking, and I think that's why she's speechless. But pour out your heart before Martha comes here.
It just excites me to be like, when I see talent, I love weddings because there's always that patch. When you go for weddings, they're playing all sorts of music, the loud music. There's always that point where they play jazz. It's my favorite moment. Okay. That one song. I just know it is line. I just identify.
That's funny. I always am amused about that.
I identify the next spot.
That's interesting.
Okay, so Isaiah is moving to another station, and in the next hour we're going to be giving out 5 tickets. But I'm going to request you. This is not blackmail on air. When sometimes when people say on air, then it becomes blackmail because you can't say no or yes.
Right.
But I'm going to request you that between today and 20th, when your show is, or before 20th, or before 2 days before your show, can we have a podcast together and discuss jazz and your life and what jazz means to you? Because you could have been a dancehall artist, you could have chosen to be an R&B artist, say a Kadodi person, I don't know, all these kind of things, so we can tell your story right before your show. This is my request on air. I don't know if you're saying yes to this or not.
No, we can definitely schedule it in, but one thing you have to know, my story is a long one.
That story I want it, because even
I'm really warning you that my story
even the Bible has an end, which is Revelation.
so
it's not blackmail, but I'm just trying to
no, let's talk about it so that we can incorporate it in the schedule.
Okay.
I'm happy to. I'm happy to. I don't think that
saying all that blackmail and because every time he's always rejected.
Yes. I make requests here to people
and they reject
and they say no.
So
maybe I should say no.
No, please don't.
You already said yes. We don't have that. Thank you so much.
That's the blackmail.
That was the blackmail. Thank you so much, Isaiah. We're going to be coming back in the next hour, and we shall give out 5 tickets for you to go to the Isaiah Katumwa 30 years of jazz. That story is long, so that every time you hear his music, just think about that moment. So, Sydney.
You're not okay.
I am trying to ask him.
I thought I was going to say I was really yesterday. It's a weird one.
I had the meeting. New Vision TV. Stream smart, stream New Vision.